Aaron, Kelvin, it's so nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us on the Geekcentric podcast. How you both doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm talking to you guys.
Good.
Look, I saw the movie, and your performances were phenomenal. I honestly really connected and found them very relatable, just in their struggles and what they were going through. But for yourselves, when you saw Mufasa for the first time, when you watched it in its full entirety, did anything surprise you? Did anything stand out to either of you?
Man, I think one of the things that blew my mind and will continue to blow my mind is how it looked as though there was a DOP there with the lions. That kind of, I don't think I'll ever get over that. Mm-hmm. There's a moment in the film where, you know, Scar Taka at the time is experiencing a particular moment, mm-hmm. and he kind of peeks his head out, and then something scares him into retreating again, and it just looks like there's a DOP with him the whole time. I just think that, for me, is just incredible. I love that.
Yeah, likewise. I feel like it was very just immersive. It literally feels like he put the camera in the water at times.
Especially
like,
with the 3D.
There was some handheld work going on. Yeah. And I was like, how are they doing this with animation?
Yeah. Well, the point of view perspective, too, when the animals were running was incredible. The way they used the camera in it, so it felt like you weren't necessarily outside looking in the world.
Exactly.
You were inside the world. So I thought that's absolutely beautiful. Now, the film opens with a beautiful tribute to James Earl Jones. And it was very, it kind of got me a bit emotional, right? Because the movie means so much, and, you know, Mufasa is so iconic. Just for Aaron, you know, how did James's performance sort of influence your performance of being a younger Mufasa? Was there anything that you took from his performance?
Massively. It truly was a guiding light for me, and any questions that I had about the character, the answers were in James Earl Jones' original portrayal. And then, of course, as you know, outside of the context of Mufasa, he is one of my greatest inspirations. He's the top of the mountain. That's the man right there.
Yeah,
you know. So it was a privilege and an honor to contribute to something in a small way that he originated and cemented in legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the way you brought that stoicness, that energy, that felt like, again, a young Mufasa compared to that sort of confident James Earl Jones. Right. You know, it was all there. It was fantastic.
Thanks, Justin.
Now, Kelvin, I absolutely loved your portrayal of Taka, and I think there's a really specific moment in this film, though, where there's a shift, and we hear Scar's voice. We hear that voice. It's very noticeable, and I absolutely loved it because it feels like something happened. It felt authentic. It felt like you changed. What was that change for you? What was it that inspired you to shift your voice into finding that Scar voice?
I'm glad you know, because honestly, when I watched it, I was scared that I was like, is this enough? I was like, should I have done more? I got really insecure. I think it was in the song. I think it's in Brother Betrayed. And I think what Lynn did so well was, melodically, he gives me an opportunity where the song starts off in this higher register, and this was the voice that we created with Barry for Taka,
right?
For him to live in this like joyful blah 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 space, and then at the end of the song, it melodically goes down into this run, and I was like, okay, now is my opportunity to walk into this, whatever, drag it out and become, what we all know and love and appreciate. So I just kind of played with that and see where it took me.
It feels like he found his confidence in that moment.
100%. He found his confidence. He understands that he needs to command the room.
Exactly.
Otherwise, Kairos is not going to respect him.
Right. Exactly. That's amazing. Now we're talking about obviously voice acting. It is such a feat, right? We had the opportunity to talk to Kevin Durant and Owen Teague from Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and they did more motion capture stuff, and they talked about how they embodied their characters. Now the process, was it different for you guys? Like obviously there was no motion capture, but how did you bring to life? How did you embody those characters so that you could bring it? Were you roaring? No, were you?
I think I've said a number of times. I'm quite particular, so I have notes for film and notes for TV and theater, but I had no notes for animation. This was my first time ever embarking on that journey, so I really had to throw myself in. And what I discovered is that actually it's most aligned with a play. It's most aligned with theater. Mm-hmm. You and Kelvin says this really eloquently. It's you get to revisit scenes and you get to live with characters in a similar way that you do with a play. In fact, maybe even more so because we did this for 3 years.
Right.
So for me, it was really just about treating that studio not like a studio and treating it like your stage. And of course, you have to stay within the physical confines of, okay, the mic is here. You can't really go too far to the left or right of that, or up or down of that. But you can use the space around you to physicalize any emotions you might be feeling, or if you're climbing, you can reach up, or whatever it might be. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. You know?
Yeah. How about for yourself? Was there anything in regards to how you embodied Taka? Was there in that voice performance?
It was more so in the physicality, and I definitely tried to lean into really trying to get into a mood of what, and certain notes of what he had to bring to the table. And then I looked at a lot of YouTube videos of Jerry Irons when he was doing the voice recording, and I wondered,
Those videos are
so incredible,
so brilliant,
and so informative, because so much of what a voice sounds like is about what physically moves and how the mouth moves and how the head moves while they're doing it, and how the breath is coming out. And so I think I tried to embrace that as much as possible.
It translates. I definitely can see
Can
that.
I say as well, something for Kelvin and I that was really wonderful is, so we don't take ourselves seriously, but we take our work and our
Too
craft
seriously.
incredibly seriously.
That's great.
And it was so nice for both of us to see footage of James Earl Jones in the studio and Jeremy Irons in the studio, and they take it really seriously. There's a beautiful video of James Earl Jones discovering the roar. It's phenomenal. There's videos of Jeremy Irons. They're taking it seriously, and like that made us feel like, oh, it's okay to take this as seriously as we do because we care about it. You know?
Right, absolutely. Now, you've kind of been touching on it, but I wanted to know, you've spent so much time with these characters, 3 years you said, right? Is there anything that you're going to take away from your time with these characters? Anything that they've maybe taught you? Maybe, because it seems like the whole practice has taught you a lot, but having been Mufasa and Taka, is there anything that you would take away that you're going to carry with yourself into your life in general?
I feel like you have a great answer to this. And it's your philosophy on
I feel
life.
like, for me, something that I would take into the future is something that Mufasa and I think have in common, is that we are unduly hard on ourselves. I expect myself, Aaron expects himself to have answers to questions that I haven't had the life experience to know. And I've just landed on a place where I'm no longer going to do that to myself. I'm no longer going to subject myself to that, you know, because it comes from within as well. So just to sort of, you know, one moment at a time, one day at a time, doing my best to make each step my best step and setting it free beyond that.
That's awesome. For yourself?
It's something that Aaron actually says in his actual life, but I think it's a lesson Taka is trying to understand, which is what's for me won't miss me. And I think that's the thing, is Taka has this expectation because he's a prince that he's supposed to be the leader, and he goes all the way to the 94 version still trying to pursue that goal, and ultimately it takes his life, right? And if he would have just taken a step back and be able to be of service to Mufasa, of service to Simba in the best way possible, maybe we would have a much different narrative and maybe a more happy, joyful life like he started. So I try to keep that in mind as well. It's like, what's for me won't miss me.
That's awesome. Well, Aaron, Kelvin, thank you so much again for joining us on the Geekcentric podcast. This means a lot. You guys were outstanding, and I look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate
Awesome.
it.